Hi, this is James Gordon Book here for Book Review. Today's book I'm reviewing today, Who by Algis Budry. That's a really neat cover. Alright. This was originally published by Pyramid Books in 1958. This edition is from Bantalin Books, published in August 1975. This was a decent read. This is a sci-fi, like a dark sci-fi Cold War novel that follows the main character here, Lucas Martino, who suffers a serious accident while working on a secret project, and he is captured by the Soviets, and they basically save his life by giving him like a new mechanical arm, and he wears what he dubs as a metal skull, but he wears this thing that's like his head, and this keeps him alive and stuff. And when he's returned over back to the Americans, they are unsure if he's still the same person they knew, or is he working for the Soviets. So on one hand, this has a really interesting setting and premise, and I really like the ideas and themes that the novel touches upon in the story, and there's some really really nice scenery in this book. Unfortunately, not much really happens in the book, and the ending, I was really let down. It's a very weak ending, and I felt the author could have gone in so many directions to make this a more better novel than it could have been. I thought I thought the themes and the subject the author touches upon in the story were interesting, but I wish he did more with it. I thought this could have been so much more. And when I was reading Who, it kind of reminded me of RoboCop and The Watchmen, which I'll explain more later on in my review. Overall, this was a decent read. Some might like it more than others, but after my review, you can decide if you want to check out this book or not. All right, onto the review. Plot. On a cold night during the Cold War at a military checkpoint, Sean Rogers, Allied counterintelligence with foreign minister, waiting for the Soviets to bring back Lucas Martino, a Italian-American physicist who was working on a top-secret project known as K-88, and was nearly killed when the laboratory exploded. A team was sent to rescue any survivors, but the Soviets got there first and took Lucas. From what data Rogers has gathered, Lucas has lost his right arm and suffered serious injuries to his body and face during the blast. Soviet doctors and scientists have saved his life by replacing most of his organs with artificial organs and mechanical parts along with prosthetic arm. However, Rogers and the others are skeptical the Soviets are telling the truth, with both sides on the edge, with reports of fighting going on between Chinese and Soviet forces. Some believe that Lucas is really dead and the Soviets are lying. Then headlights appear out of the darkness as a Tatra limo pulls up on the Soviet side. As the American side gets ready for the transfer, they are shocked to see a man mostly made of metal. Wearing a suit with a brown striped shirt, his right arm is mechanical, and his head has a metal ovoid, a grill where his mouth is, and dark visor with lenses where his eyes are. Rogers asks if it's Lucas Martino, and the man replies yes, and shakes his hand along with the foreign minister as they bring him over to a waiting gray limo. They bring Lucas to a heavily secured base and place him in a cell-like room, as it's too risky to bring him back to the States, as they are unsure if Lucas is still on their side or has been converted to a double agent. Rogers tries to have a medical examines carried out along with getting people to do a series of tests on Lucas. However, the mechanical devices placed on Lucas' body can't be tampered with, and fear if they try taking off the metal ovoid on his head, it might kill him. Despite getting a fingerprint match on his left hand, but it's feared that the Soviets may have transplanted the real arm onto someone else, as Rogers isn't sure if this man is even human or machine. For a week they have Lucas in his cell and given him clean clothes and food as he showers and smokes. Rogers and FBI agent Flinchley sit with Lucas inside his cell and ask him what happened during the explosion and what the Soviets did to him. Lucas recalls little about the event, stating he blocked his face with his right arm and was badly burned, then woke in the hospital with a mechanical arm. Both men pressure him to reveal if the Soviets know about K-88 project. Lucas replies they never found out about it. After finishing their interrogation, Rogers reveals that the K-88 project has been terminated, as Lucas is furious that years of his work are gone and orders both men to leave at once while smoking a cigarette. With nothing else to go on and no way of proving the man is Lucas Martino or not, Rogers tells him they are letting him go under the condition that he isn't allowed any work that involves physicists. Lucas is glad to being released, but to ensure he isn't a spy, Rogers will keep a surveillance team to watch him closely. Lucas takes a flight to New York and lands at the airport during a foggy morning. Rogers and Flinchley follow Lucas closely as people look at him, but doesn't hide who he is and isn't afraid to tell someone off if they are disgusted by what they see. Rogers has a team follow Lucas closely as he walks through the streets of New York without a care in the world. Rogers is facing pressure from his superiors to prove if he's a spy or not. During the night, Rogers and his team follow Lucas to an old apartment where he meets with Edith, a woman he had a crush on during his high school years but never got together as he went with a different woman while pursuing a career in physicists. The two begin talking about the past and how they wish things went for them, while Rogers is listening in on their conversation. Edith tells Lucas she still loves him, but he hesitates because of his appearance. When Edith's daughter awakens, she is frightened by him, causing Lucas to leave. Rogers and his team try following him, but Lucas spots them and begins running down an alleyway. Flinchley orders the driver to push it, but to their shock, Lucas can run twice as fast than their car. Speeding dangerously through the streets of New York, with Lucas running through a one-way street with Rogers ordering them to stop, but Flinchley refuses, causing the driver to avoid hitting another car, causing an accident to happen. Rogers yells at Lucas to stop, but he keeps running. Flinchley goes after him, but is struck by a car and killed on impact. Rogers calls in the accident while Lucas hides out in a hotel. With no place to go, Lucas travels to his parents' farm in New Jersey as it's abandoned with the house in bad shape along with the barn. Lucas uses his remaining funds to repair it and begins working on the land while being surveillanced. After months of working on the farm and repairing his parents' house, Rogers along with a government agent come to make Lucas an offer to begin work on K-88 project again, as tensions are rising between the American and Soviet Union. But he is told that if he accepts, Lucas will be watched closely. Lucas declines the offer, stating he's a farmer now, not a physicist, and has no interest of aiding the U.S. government. Rogers warns he'll be watched until his death, with Lucas stares at him silently, making him feel uneasy. Will Lucas crack under pressure or reveal he is in fact the man he claims to be? And did the Soviets really plan to use Lucas against the Americans, or did they have something else in mind against their enemy? Who was a decent novel, like the setting of this dark future with Cold War themes in the mix, along with its scenery of abandoned areas, dark city streets, and foggy atmosphere. Really like the character of Lucas Martino with his prosthetic arm and metal ovoid, or dubbed metal skull, giving him an eerie yet iconic look. Reading Who reminded me of RoboCop mixed with the Watchmen graphic novel, especially with the character of Dr. Manhattan, a smart yet troubled character unable to break free from government control, who both fear him and yet want to use him as a weapon, and Alex Murphy, who becomes RoboCop against his will and is controlled to be the perfect crime-fighting machine until he starts turning against the company who built him. The other characters were either decent or felt flat, as Lucas felt more layered than the rest of the cast did. Despite the interesting setting, however, not much happens in this novel and felt the ending was very weak. I was hoping it would lead to a plot twist or major event, but no grand finale. I really want to see more of the Cold War themes along with both sides' military looked like in this dark future and the rest of this world it's set in. There is also talk of a war breaking out, but we never get to see any of it. I also would have liked to see more action and felt it would have been interesting if Lucas became an anti-hero fighting against both the American and Soviet sides. While Who lacks the thrills and suspense, but it's very story-driven, as the pacing was good. Some of the dialogue I felt didn't make much sense or could be strange at times, but I still liked this novel. Overall, Who was a decent dark sci-fi Cold War novel. If you're more interested in story-driven plots than a thriller, you might like this novel, but if you're looking for thrills or action, then I would say pass on this novel. Alright, that's our review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, as I said, I really liked Who. I felt it was a very interesting story. I really liked the setting that this novel takes place in, like this dark future with the Cold War themes in it, and they had some scenes that were very like atmospheric with like the foggy airport, and then the military bases on both the Soviet American sides. There was a lot of like just kind of like eerie atmosphere in this book, and the scene where Lucas returns to his parents' farm, it's like a very abandoned and decay, and I really like the way the author describes these scenes. I also really like the look of Lucas Martino, the way he looks when he's got like this mechanical right arm and the metal ovoid he wears on his head. I felt it was very like a very interesting look to the character. As throughout the book, you're wondering, is this really the man who he claims to be, or is it a double agent, or is it even like a robot? Because there's a couple times where even Rogers wonders if this is like a human or machine, as he theorizes that this machine could have like the memories of the real Lucas Martino programmed into him, but it's never revealed if he is like a human or machine or not. Um, yeah, so I felt like the world setting was interesting. I liked the scenery in the book, and I felt the Lucas was a very well layered, interesting character. As I said, I felt when I was reading this novel, it reminded me a lot of RoboCop mixed with the Watchmen. With the Watchmen, you have like this kind of dark future with the Cold War themes, and you got the character Doctor Manhattan, who's like this very powerful, smart, intelligent character, but he has this troubled past, and he's constantly clashing with the government, who wants to use him as a weapon, yet they fear him at the same time. And interestingly, both characters were kind of forced to take on roles that they weren't interested in. Like Lucas in the novel was interested pursuing sports, and he got kind of not pressured, but convinced to take a more like a more science course that led to him getting interested in physics and stuff because of a theory he had. And it's kind of similar to Dr. Manhattan character, where he wanted to become something else, and then his father pressured him to get into like mathematics and stuff, which led to the incident which make him become Dr. Manhattan, which is very similar to Lucas Martino, where he's working in a lab, working on this like top secret military project, K-88, and then something goes wrong, and he's nearly killed because of it. Kind of the same thing with Dr. Manhattan, when he's working on a project and something goes wrong, and basically the accident causes them to become what they later become in the story. And then RoboCop was another like film that kind of came to mind when I was reading this novel. Like the character of Alex Murphy, he gets basically killed on the job, and then he's brought back to life as RoboCop with like basically this company that rebuilds him with all these prosthetics and mechanical parts and stuff, just like RoboCop. And it's very interesting how like the themes that I felt were very similar to those other like the graphic novel Watchmen and RoboCop, as I felt it was very similar with those themes as I was reading this book. So I felt that was really interesting. However, for the rest of the book, there were things I didn't like. Some of the other characters we come to fall in the story, like the story mainly focuses on Lucas and Rogers I felt was not really a well fleshed out character. Like he's okay, but you don't really get to know much about him, and the story is mainly focuses more on Lucas a lot in this novel. I wish it would have some scenes of the other character, Rogers, and maybe some other people. Would have been interesting if the story followed, but it doesn't follow a lot, and the author doesn't put a lot of like more detail into the other characters. It's mainly Lucas that gets like the most detail and layers put into him. Not much happens in this book. Like it gets off to a very interesting start, and then after a lot of talking, then there's a part where Lucas goes to visit a girl that he had an interest in, and which leads to like a foot chase. And that scene I really enjoyed, but after that, not much else really happens, and I was expecting like a lot more from this book. I was expecting there to be like a big like plot twist or like plot reveal that would make this novel more interesting, but it doesn't really happen. And I just felt the author could have done so much more with this story and the character. As I said, I felt it would have been interesting if the author made him like a kind of like an anti-hero where he doesn't care for either side, and it basically is now fighting like a personal battle between the two sides. I thought that would have been interesting, but that doesn't happen, and we never find out what K-88 project is. We never learn what it is. It's never revealed if it was a bomb or some super weapon that the U.S. government was working on. It's never revealed what it is, and I was kind of curious, like, okay, what is this project? What is it? And the Stoics went through a lot of trouble to get this character to learn what it was, but they never find out what it is. I just kind of would have liked to know, like, what is K-88? Like, it would have been interesting if you offered to reveal what that project could have been. So yeah, so some of the dialogue could be strange or weird at times, but yeah, like overall, it was a decent novel. I still enjoyed it. I just wish it had like more to offer and stuff. And I felt it was another problem I had with this novel. It was too short. Like this is not a long book. This is what is this? 185 pages. I felt this novel is way too short. It should have been thicker. Like the author could have like added more to the story. Could have like shown more of this like dark future that this novel takes place in. And I just felt if the novel was thicker, he could have like went more with the story, if only. Yeah, so those are the only complaints I have with Who. But other than that, it's still a decent read. As I said, it's very story-driven and more character-driven, unlike some other novels I read where the author focuses more on like the action and thrills and stuff. This is more story-driven, but despite the flaws, I still enjoyed it. Oh yeah, and there's there was a film, of course, based on this novel, and when I looked at some pictures of this film that came out in '74, I didn't like it. Like the metal ovoid that Lucas wears in the book is just, this is like really cool, and I don't know if you can see it, but he's got like red glowing eyes, which is really cool. In the film, it just looks more like a kind of like a robotic humanoid like head, not this. And I wish that the like in the film they kept the look of like how it is on the cover, but the film changes it, and they also changed some things around, like the fact that Lucas was nearly killed in an explosion in a lab. In the film, they changed it to where he nearly gets killed in a car accident, and somehow this like messes up his face and arm so bad that he has to get like prosthetics added to his body and stuff. I thought, how can an accident do that much damage versus like an explosion, which is like way more worse? So the film kind of alters a lot of the story around, so I'm not interested in checking that film out. It'd be kind of interesting if this was to like given like a remake and more depth and detail put into it and stuff, and some more stuff added to the story. That would be interesting. I do have another novel by this author, Rogue Moon. I heard that one's really good, so I'll have to pull that one out. Originally, I had a different novel I was gonna read. I was gonna read this one book, Gun with Occasional Music, and I ended up liking it, so I decided to pull something else out from my to-be-read pile here, because I got a bunch of books sitting here that need to be read, and I was trying to think, okay, what's something I can read that won't take me too long, so I picked Who, because it was short, but after reading it, I wish it was longer. Alright, that's the review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will be getting back to the Jack Ryan and John Clark series with the Some Little Fears. I plan to read five of the Tom Clancy books this month, so I'll be reading Some Little Fears, Debit of Honor, Executive Orders, Rainbow Six, and then Bear and the Dragon. So I plan to read all 5 books within this month, and I plan to get the series done in September. And I'm going to try to get some other books within this month as too, as I got some summer themed, as I got more summer themed horror novels I want to read too, and on some other stuff. That's it for the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel where I post book reviews and book hauls and other fiction related content. Until then, I'll catch you later.